welcome to my
Now go.
Hello, welcome to my humble abode. Today we're going to talk about 4 different types of identities. We have double angle, half angle, sum, and different identities. First, we're going to start with double angle identities. We have sine 2 theta, cosine 2 theta, and tangent 2 theta. It's going to be important to remember these for the rest of your life. So first, for sine 2 theta, you have 2 sine theta, cosine theta. That's your first identity. For cosine 2 theta, you have 3 different types. You have 2 cosine squared minus 1, cosine squared theta minus sine squared theta, 1 minus 2 sine squared theta, and then for tangent 2 theta, you have 2 tangent theta over 1 minus tangent squared theta. So we're going to motion on over to our problem. First, we're going to start with our problem 2 cosine squared of 112.5 degrees minus 1. First thing you're going to do is find the right identity that matches this. Cosine squared of the angle minus 1 is the same identity from cosine squared theta, so we know it's going to be a cosine double angle. So you're going to multiply 2 times 112.5 to get cosine of 225. Then you're going to look over to your unit circle, which you all should know by now, and you'll realize that right here, your answer will be negative square root of 2 over 2. Next, we're going to do our next problem. Our next example, we have 2 sine of 7 pi over 12 and cosine times cosine 7 pi over 12. We are using these radians right now, 7 degrees. So the first thing you want to do is match your double angle identities. You know if you look over here, you can tell that it's sine because this one over here is 2 sine theta cosine. This is 2 sine your radian times cosine of your radian. So what we're going to do is set this up to equal sine squared theta. And your theta is your 7 pi over 12, so it's going to be sine 2 times 7 pi over 12. And 2 times 7 pi over 12 is going to give you 7 pi over 4. And then, if you want to look at your unit circle, you'll be able to find that. And your answer will be negative square root of 2 over 2. Now we're going to move on to our half angle identities. Okay, so now we're moving on to our half angle identities. We have sine x over 2 will equal to square root of 1 minus cosine 2x over 2. Then we have cosine x over 2 will equal plus or minus 1 plus cosine squared, squared over 2, square root of that. And then for your tangent of x over 2, you have 1 minus cosine over sine. And now we must move on to our example. So our first example will be tangent of 15 degrees, 15 being our half angle. If x over 2 equals 15, then we know our x will equal 30. And so now that we know what our x is, we're going to go ahead and plug that into our tangent. So you're going to do 1 minus cosine of of 30 over sine x, or 30. Okay? And so we know what cosine of 30 is and what sine of 30 is. So now we're going to plug those in. We know that what that is because of our unit circle. So now we know that it's going to be 1 minus square root of 3 over 2 all over 1 over 2. And so you're going to multiply that by 2 over 2, which is equal to 1. And you should get your final answer. I can just squat down here. Your final answer will be 2 minus square root of 3 over 1. And that is how you do your half angle for tangent of 15. Now we're going to move on to our next example. So next we are going to do sine pi over 8. So you want to go and find your identity for sine half angles, which would be plus or minus square root of 1 minus cosine 2x square x, 2x over 2. So we know that our x over 2 will equal pi over 8, so that must mean our x equals pi over 4 if you multiply that by 2. So your sine pi over 8 will be equal to the square root of 1 minus cosine pi over 4 over 2. Then, after that, after you put that in, we know our cosine pi over 4 is square root of 2 over 2. So you plug that in, and then you have square root of 1 minus square root of 2 over 2, all over the square root of 2. And you want to eliminate that square root of 2 at the bottom, so you're going to multiply it by square root of 2 over 2, which is equal to 1. And after all of that, you will come down to your answer of square root of 2 minus square root of 2 over 2. Good job, guys. Okay, and now we are moving on to our cosine half angle. We know that our cosine half angle will equal to plus or minus the square root of 1 plus cosine of x over 2. So our half angle right now is 75. If 75 is our half angle, that means 150 will be our whole angle. So what you want to do is put the plus or minus of 1 plus cosine of 150 over the square root of 2. And we know that the cosine of 150, when you look at your unit circle, will equal to negative 3 over 2. We know that because 150 is in the second quartile. And so now you have 1 plus this negative square root of 3 over 2 over 2. Then you want to multiply that by 2 over 2 to get rid of this square root, to get rid of that square root down there. And then you will come down to 2 minus square root of 3 over 2. Make sure you show all of your work. Next, we're going to move on to our sum and difference. Okay, now we are ready to move on to our sum and different identities. So first we have your cosine of a plus or minus b is equal to cosine of a times cosine of b minus or plus sine of a or sine of b. Notice that the signs switch. And then you have your sine of a plus or minus b, which is equal to sine a cosine b plus cosine a sine b. So instead of having cosines on both sides, you have sine and cosine on the same side. And the signs do not switch, they stay the same. And lastly, you have your tangent of a plus or minus b, which is going to equal tangent of a plus or minus tangent of b over 1 minus or plus tangent of a times tangent of b. So your sign stays the same on the top, but exchanges on the bottom. And it's going to multiply on the bottom. Okay, now we're going to move on to our first problem. Our first problem is tangent of 75. Now, the first thing you want to do is figure out two angles that will add up or subtract to equal 75. I have chosen 120 and 45. You can choose whatever angles you choose. I chose 120 and 45, so you're going to write it out to be tangent of 120 minus tangent of minus 45, which is equal to, if you look back at your identity, tangent of 120 minus tangent of 45 over 1 plus tangent of 120 and tangent of 45. Make sure you get the signs right. And then you want to exchange your values from your unit circle into this problem, because you know what tangent of 120 and tangent of 45 is. So tangent of 120 is negative square root of 3 minus tangent of 45 is 1 over 1 plus negative square root of 3 times 1. And to get rid of the square root of 3, you're going to want to multiply by your conjugate, and then simplify. And the answer you will get is 2 plus square root of 3. So tangent of 75 equals 2 plus square root of 3. Now we are going to move on to do our sum or difference of sine data. Next, we are going to do our sum or difference. In this case, we're going to do our sum of our sine identity. So if you look back, you know that our sine identity is a sine of a plus b equals sine a cosine b plus cosine a times sine b. So our angle right now is 195. You have to think of what angles can be added or subtracted to equal 195. The easiest would be to do 45 and 150. So sine of 45 plus 150 will equal to sine of 45 cosine 150 plus cosine 45 sine 150. Notice that we have a plus sign here and a plus sign here. The plus signs go all the way through. So after that, you want to exchange your values. And you're going to have sine of 45 is square root of 2 over 2. And cosine of 150 is negative square root of 3 over 2. Cosine of 45 is square root of 2 over 2. And sine of 150 is 1 over 2. So you want to multiply all those. So square root of 2 over 2 times negative square root of 3 over 2 plus square root of 2 over 2 times 1 over 2. Then you're going to get negative square root of 6 over 4 plus square root of 2 over 4. Add those together because they have the same denominator, and you will get square root of 2 minus square root of 6 over 4 as your answer. We're going to move on to our final identity. It's going to be the sum or difference of cosine.
Oh.
Okay, and now we have reached our last destination. We're going to do the sum or difference of cosine 150. So I've decided to do cosine of 150, and I decided that 60 and 45 will be my best options because 60 and 45 are easy to work with. And so what we have here is cosine of 60 plus 45, which is going to expand to look like cosine of 60 times cosine of 45 minus sine of 60 times sine of 45. Don't forget to look back at your sum and difference identities if you forget what they look like. And so after we get those, we already know, because we have learned our unit cycle repeatedly, that cosine of 60 is going to be 1/2, and cosine of 45 is going to be square root of 2 over 2. Sine of 60 is going to be square root of 3 over 2, and sine of 45 is going to be square root of 2 over 2. So we're going to multiply these. So 1/2 times square root of 2 over 2 minus, because we added in the beginning, square root of 3 over 2 times square root of 2 over 2. And once you get those multiplied, you're going to combine them to get square root of 2 minus square root of 6 all over 4. This is our final answer. And now we have been through all of our sum and difference identities and our half angle and double angle identities. I hope you enjoyed this presentation. Next time, come back to learn more about identities. Thank you to my brother Devon for recording this for me. Have a good night.